Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Hello and welcome to your fourth instalment of our signed and sealed mini-series. Huddersfield Town made their fourth signing of the January transfer window on Friday, signing Watford striker Rhys Healey until the summer of 2026. So what do we know about him? Well, he's 29, he's made over 230 senior appearances and had 115 goal contributions in that time. And of course, we all saw him make his debut on Saturday against Blackburn, where he completed 90 minutes. So in this edition of the Signed and Sealed series, we're going to hear from myself and Tom on our reaction to the move. We're going to hear from the listeners, and we're also going to hear from Jordi Connor from the Watford fan podcast from the Rookery end. But before we do, let's hear what Darren Moore had to say about it. In the official statement by the club, he said, quote, "I really like what Rhys brings to the teams he plays for. He's a natural goal scorer. He finds ways to score all different types of goals and has done at every level throughout his career. He's also a tireless worker and a clever player. As a defender myself in my playing days, he would be the kind of player that is a real pain to play against. I think his qualities will really mesh well with the other strikers at the club." Now, let's hear from Jordi Connor, who's from the Watford fan podcast from the Rookery end. Of course, Town fans were a little bit surprised to see Rhys Healey join, given how Watford only signed him in the summer on a free. But let's hear why that is the case from Jordi now.
So strange as it may sound, asking a Watford fan for a point of view on Rhys Healey might not be the best idea. We picked him up this summer on a free transfer. He'd been in France for a couple of years with Toulouse in the French second division and had done well there. But we picked him up after an injury. So he came to us and he probably wasn't ready to start playing. And then as Valerian Ismail started experimenting and working out how he wanted us to play, we signed Mileta Rajovic, who is also centre-forward and has done okay in front of goal and I guess become the first choice. And our second choice is Vakoum Bayo, who, like Rajovic, is 6 foot plus, and unlike Rajovic, is a lot more dynamic. The problem Rhys Healey had is that he doesn't have that physical presence, so he hasn't really had a chance to get into the team. Which is why probably we're looking to move him on and probably why he wants to move on. So although it might sound like you're getting a bad end of a deal because we picked him up for nothing and then are selling for a couple million, a few months later what we've done is the equivalent of fixing him up, getting him match fit, getting him ready and so forth. What we have seen of him, he's only had one start for us, mainly come off the bench, is that he is probably a competent championship striker in a team that plays to his strengths. But obviously we're playing with one centre forward, and obviously 3 into 1 doesn't go. And he's very much the third choice because of the physical requirements we have of our centre forward. So if you play a different style, he might be very, very good for you. Seems quite sharp. Seems like a fairly decent guy. One thing to look out for is that he has an incredibly long throw for a man of his size. He towards the end of the game recently, he kind of just started chucking it into the penalty area, pretty much hitting the penalty spot from the side of the pitch. So if you have a fetish for Stoke City of about 10 years ago, he can help you get your fix. So try and make the most of that. I don't know if he tells people he's got that ability because no one had spoken about it until he suddenly did it. So if you need a striker who can play at this level and you're playing to his strengths and his skills, which I guess your scouts have done their homework on him, then he could be a good deal for you. He's 29, so he's not a youngster. And like I said, he had a bad knee injury. I think he had one earlier in his career too, so he's probably not the fastest. But he'll I guess if you're creating chances and you need someone to be in and around the area and to link things up, he might be a good signing for you. So best of luck with him.
Thanks, Jordi. Now let's hear what the listeners had to say. So we did a poll following the announcement asking you Town fans, in terms of excitement, what would you rank it out of 10? You'll note it now, just in case. 1 to 3, not that excited. 4 to 6, getting my hopes up. 7 to 9, pretty excited. And 10, back of the net. Over 460 people voted in this one, so cheers for that. The majority winner was 7-9. Pretty excited. 49.1% of you voting on that, while 4-6 was next, getting my hopes up. 38.7%. Jonathan Shaw, he said, unknown to me, something different and some ambition from a chairman, seemingly. Who would have thunk it? Michael, he says, business is an 8, but won't matter one bit as Moore will be sacked in 3 games' time when we don't beat Sheffield Wednesday in QPR. And Brillo, he says, my mate's a Watford fan and doesn't rate him. We'll see. Thinking emoji. So pretty split opinions there. Let's hear what me and Tom had to say about it. And I'm joined again by Tom Bradshaw to talk about another signing. Tom, I feel like when we're doing these mini pods, the signings seem to come in twos, don't they?
Yeah, just like buses, Brady, isn't it? It's wait for one, and then along comes the other. But another, for me, exciting addition and just what we needed, to be honest.
Yes, certainly is. And it's a striker, Tom. I mean, how many windows have we been complaining about the lack of a striker? And we've got 2. And not only have we got 2 strikers, we've got 2 strikers under 30. I'm trying to think of the last time that's ever
happened. Probably since the January we signed Naki Wells, I feel like. Since then, I feel like every window we've probably been potentially moaning about a striker. If you cancel out the Premier League promotion with a big Mounier coming in. But it seems like it's all we ask for every year. And yeah, it's quite a good one, Brady, I think, for me, is like you said, under 30.
Under 30, which is always a bonus. And I mean, yeah, so we are, of course, talking about Rhys Healey, who's joined from Watford. Initial thoughts, what do you make of this? You said you seem quite excited with this one.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. So I look at kind of where he's been, what he's done. There's obviously one really standout season when he was in France at Toulouse, where he was top goal scorer in the second tier, pretty much got them promoted back to the top tier. And some of the goals that season, if you can dig it out on YouTube, there's some proper good finishes. He comes across as a bit of a fox in the box, and I think it's something that we haven't had for a while. I mean, I go back to Naki Wells. I don't think we've had someone like Naki Wells for a long time, and I think that's what he does. I mean, his stats kind of, I think it's about something like 100 goals in about 240 games overall. So it's not terrible, really. It's not a terrible return as a striker, is it? Kind of thing. I think I had a quick chat with my Watford friend, and I mean, it sounds like from their end, they're not going to turn down the money that we're potentially playing because they got him on a free and they're basically making money on him by sounds of it. But the one positives that he gave me, I mean, they've not seen him much because of his injury at the start of the year, but he sounds like a workhorse as well, and he's not going to stop running, chasing balls down, and being a nuisance, really. So that excites me the most, Brady, I think.
Yeah, it's good. And you talked about the stat. I got it from Stephen Chicken's scouting report here. Over the last 5 years, across League 2, League 1, League 1, League 2, and the Championship, he's got 58 goals in 116 appearances, which is exactly a goal every other game. So I don't know, like we do like a moan, don't we, Tom? But I think if Town realistically are going to get a striker, that's pretty good, a 1-2 record. And we also know he can play in the Championship and score in the Championship, even though those appearances are limited. So, yeah, I mean, again, from looking at the clips and reading up on him, he seems to have quite a few different ways to finish, which is good because I think sometimes with strikers they have trademark goals, don't they? Really, I think it's good that there's that variety there. I mean, what would you do, Tom? I suppose the question, this Radilovic. We've got.
We're never going to be able to say his name. I don't think, are we?
No,
it sounds
right. I've got a friend who's Serb Croat, and I know she's going to butcher me for getting it wrong all the time. Raders, we don't know he had a bit of a knock. But would you play them both together, or do you think it's kind of a one in, one out situation?
I think you could play them together, definitely. I think from what I've seen of Healey, I think he's one of those who picks up things in the box, scraps. I think the kind of goals that he's scoring, if Sorba's delivery keeps up, then he's going to be picking up stuff that I feel like this season when I've watched games, there's so many times where I've just thought, someone should be there. Someone should be there so many times in the box. And I hope this is that's the hole that is being filled with Healey, because those goals that he scored at Toulouse a lot seem to come from maybe a mistake from a defender, but some really good play out wide, cutting it back kind of thing. But I think big man, little man potentially as well could work really well. He sounds like he's a bit of a terrier. He'll chase stuff down, might have a little bit of pace about him. So yeah, it could work really well with those two up top, I think, Brady. Especially, I think it looks like Radders isn't kind of scared to have a shot from anywhere, looking at the videos that we've seen of him. So it's one of those, and if he has a shot, is Healey there to take up the scraps if the keeper parries it, that kind of thing. So it could be a really good partnership, hopefully. So I'd like to see them play together, I think, yeah.
Yeah, no, I would. I think it's just good to have options again, because we've seen, throughout Darren Moore's tenure that he's not really had a lot of options, even if the football has been a bit uninspiring. And I think they're two very different strikers. I mean, both can obviously score, which is good for Town. But, Radders, he seems to he's happy to drop deep and kind of, bring others into play. Whereas, if you'll bear with me, listeners and Tom, obviously not at the same level when I say this, but it seems to me it's a bit like Ian Wright, Dennis Bergkamp. Radders is happy to drop and bring others into play. And to me, Healey's a bit like that Ian Wright type of player where he's like, I'm just going to basically be in the box, and I'm not going to do much else. I'm not really going to offer many assists because my job is to score goals. And I just think Town have needed that for a long time, haven't they, Tom?
Yeah, exactly. It'll just be nice to see someone getting in the box and having a go. Because I really can't remember the last kind of striker we had like that, to be honest. It's got to be Naki. I'm going back to Naki Wells again, but I'm just, yeah. I mean, Danny Ward isn't that kind of striker, is he? So, yeah, bring it on.
No. Yeah, no. I mean, I saw there was comparisons in terms of work rate to what Danny Ward gives. But I suppose for Town fans, the ones who are maybe a bit more sceptical of Danny Ward, he's never been truly prolific. But I suppose it's great to have a player like Danny Ward who's going to put in the effort, but can also score too. So, it's interesting, and him to come back. I know this isn't a Wardy pod, but I think Ward, if he's fit, is a good bench option or one to rotate with. So it's starting to look more.
Well, that's it, Brady. It's actually starting to look like we actually have striking options. I think I really like Harrott, and I really like Hudlin as well. But I think Hudlin was a project signing, and he's been kind of thrown in this season. He's also got injured now, hasn't he? And same with Harrott. I think Harrott's season this year was hopefully going to be him just coming off the bench now and again. And then he got thrown into it, and look, he's picked up an injury. So it's just going to be nice to have, especially when those two get fit again, to have maybe 5 or 6 strikers of it available and pushing each other in training as well, that kind of thing. So that's all we kind of asked for quite a while, isn't it?
No, definitely. I suppose the question to ask you is, looking at Healey's record with Watford, like you say, he's not really had many minutes and had a bit of an injury, but he's played 11. He started just one of those. His kind of average minutes per game is 21, and he's scored 2 and had 1 assist. So not a lot to judge on there. I mean, I suppose to ask you, and you've spoken to your Watford friend fan, we've heard from Jordi Connor from the Rookery end earlier. Is it a bit of a red flag to you that he's, Watford are not too fussed about letting him go?
No, not really. I think it sounds like Ishmael. He doesn't fit Ishmael's style of football, from what my mate told me as well. It's so it's kind of like if Town have targeted him for the job he does, then hopefully he's going to fit in with the Darren Moore style of football. Or if you see, you know what I mean? If Darren Moore can now progress that football with these signings coming in, so yeah, I don't think it's a red flag. I don't think it's a red flag because for me, and this is the red flag for me, Brady, is the season that he did have, the really good season at Toulouse, was during COVID, and that is the only thing in the back of my mind. Is he one of those players who kind of thrived under that no fan atmosphere, and then since then so it'd be interesting to see what he is. I'll just look forward to seeing him playing, to be honest.
Yeah, fair. I mean, of all the COVID theories there are, I'm kind of happy for that one to be considered in comparison to some others. Yeah, cool. I suppose the final question is, Tom, we always ask, what would you rank this signing out of 10 in terms of excitement for you then?
29-year-old but striker, so I think a 7 out of 10.
7? You went higher for Bolka.
I did, but I'm still excited about this one.
Yeah, good.
What about you then? I mean, you going higher this one than Bolka?
Yeah, I think it's hard. It's a difficult one. I'm a little bit more encouraged. I know we've brought in Radas and he has a good record, but you know there is the concerns about transitioning over from the Finnish League to the Championship. Whereas at least Healey's scored goals in the Championship, and 29 is kind of like the prime for a striker. So yeah, I'm probably going to go an 8. I feel like my only a completely different player, but it feels a bit like when we signed Pritchard, and Pritchard in a lot of ways like felt like a good signing on paper, like made a lot of sense, kind of what we needed, and Healey is like what we needed. I suppose the only thing I will say is obviously I hope it works out a lot better than that. But yeah, I don't know. I just think you look at his record and you look at his finishes, and I don't know. I feel a bit convinced. Like I know this is the hope that kills you, but yeah, I'm going to go an 8 because I feel like it's exactly what we need, really. So if we're always criticised Town and their recruitment team, they are really acting in this window.
Yeah, definitely. Spot on, Brady.
And that will leave it there. We'll leave it there. So ta-ta for now in this one. Maybe we have another one before the end of the window. Who knows? But ta-ta for now and up the town.
Up the town.
So Town play up, bring the car back to Huddersfield.